Okay, gang, let's go ahead and talk about multiplying area models with multi-digit factors today. So we're in lesson 402. So let's go ahead and kind of review the essential question today, which is what is an area model? So remember, I said that the area model is one of my favorite strategies for multiplication. So we're going to be looking at that model today. So today we're going to be solving multiplication equations using the area model of multiplications. We got this. So what do we notice? What do we wonder about? Oh, these numbers. Okay. So things that I notice. Okay. 24 plus 24 plus 24. 3 times 24. 24. Okay. I've noticed something. I'm curious what you're noticing. Are you noticing that these are all showing different ways to show three groups of 24? We have repeated addition right here. I have multiplication. I have base 10 blocks with 24 plus 24 plus 24. And then I also have partial product, which is where we are breaking it apart into that 20 and 4 and multiplying both by that number of 3. So that's something that I notice about that. So now I'm wondering, well, how does the area model of multiplication play into this? So let's take a look at applied math with some real life math. So this is crop scientists study plants that people grow to make for food, for feeding animals, or for making clothing. They help to develop new types of crops and new ways of helping crops grow without harming the environment. So when might it be useful to multiply a 2, 3, or 4-digit number by maybe a 1-digit number? Well, I know if I'm a crop scientist and I'm going out to a field just like this, especially since I know that at Kansas State University, the College of Agriculture does this all the time. And a crop scientist might need to go down a single row of plants, like a single row of corn, like we see corn plants here, and look at maybe multiplying a single row by how many plants are in the row. Maybe there's 2 plants in a row, or 3 plants in a row, or 4 plants in a row. So sometimes it can be useful to multiply a 2, 3, or 4-digit number by other numbers. So let's go ahead and kind of talk about what is the product of 3 and 254. Well, some different strategies we've already kind of looked at is we can do regular multiplication, we can do repeated addition, we can do base 10 blocks, we can do partial product, but I want to kind of show this a different way. So we did the standard algorithm last time, which was 2 times 5 times 4 multiplied by 3. So we multiplied 3 times 4, then we multiplied 3 times 50, then we multiplied that 3 times 200. So we did, when 3 times 4 is 12, we bring down that 2 and the 12, we group that group of 10. So 3 groups of the number 50, because 5 is in that 10's place value. So this is saying 3 groups of 50 plus another group of 10. So I know 3 groups of 50 is 150 plus another group of 10. When I bring that number down, I get 160. I'm not going to put a digit in the 1's place value because I already have the number 2 there. I do have the number 6 in that 10's place value with 160 there, so I'm going to put that 6 because it's in the 10's place. I'm going to regroup that group of 100. I'm going to carry it to the hundreds column. This is now saying I have 3 groups of the number 200. So I know 3 groups of 200 gives me 600. I'm going to add that group of 100 to it. So I'm going to get 600 plus one more, 700. So I'm going to get the number 700. I'm going to bring that down to the hundreds place value. My final answer to this product is 762. So I know when I get to 762 that I have done this problem correctly. I can also solve this problem another way, doing the area model of multiplication that I told you we would be learning about today. This is when we take the number 254 and we stretch it out to its expanded notation place value. Its expanded notation place value is going to be 200 plus 50 plus 4. Then I'm going to take my 3, which is what I'm multiplying by, and I'm going to put it on the side. I can use some of those strategies we've already talked about. Okay, so I'm going to bring down my 2 hundreds place value holder. Okay, I'm going to put them in. Okay, same thing on my 5. I'm going to bring down that the ones place value. Okay, and there's nothing right there. Now I can just multiply 3 times 2, which is 6, but it's to the hundreds place value, so it's 600. I know 3 times 5 is 15. That's like saying there's 15 groups of 10, which is 150. Then I'm going to do 3 groups of 4, which gives me the number 12. So I know I'm going to have 600 plus 150 plus the number of 12. So when I go ahead and take 150 and separate it down, I'm going to get 100. Then I'm going to get the number 50. I'm going to get 10, and I'm going to get 2. Now I can do some quick mental math. So I know that I'm going to have 700 plus 50 plus 10 gives me 60. So 700 plus 60. And then I have my 2, so plus 2. So 700 plus 60 plus 2 gives me 762. Okay, so let's go ahead and kind of practice this. So if I have the number, this is saying that my number is 2,542 multiplied by the number 4. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to do that same thing here. I'm going to go ahead and bring down my place value holder. I see that I have 3 zeros because I'm going out to the thousands place value. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3 zeros in my answer. Okay, I'm just going to move them off. Same thing over here. I have 2 zeros in my answer at least. I'm going to go ahead and take that off so I don't get confused. This one's going to have 1 zero in my question, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off. Here we go. Now I can go ahead and multiply. So I can say 4 times 2 is 8, but really it's 4 times 2,000, which gives me 8,000. Then I can go 4 times 5 is 20, but this is really saying 4 groups of 500, so 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, so that matches. Then I have 4 times 4 is 16, but this is really saying 4 groups of 40, so 40, 80, 120, 160. So I know my math makes sense when I really kind of think about it. I know 4 times 2 is 8. Now I can just add my numbers up, okay? So I can align my place value. So I'm going to get 8,000. I'm going to get 2,000. I'm going to get 160. And I'm going to get the number 8, okay? I'm going to start here at the ones place value. So I'm going to bring down my 8. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring down my 6 groups of 10, which is 60. So 60 plus 8, 68. That makes sense. Then I'm going to go ahead and bring down that group of 100. So 100 plus 68, 168. That makes sense. Then I have 8,000 plus 2,000 gives me 10,000. I'm over 3 place values. So 1, 2, 3, comma. I got 10,168. All right. So what do I do if there are 2 digits in the number? We just did 1 digit, okay? But what do if I do if there's 2? Don't panic, okay? This is when we sometimes feel the need to be like, that's a panic. All right. So, so we're going to go ahead and take 512 And we're going to break this apart into 500, 10, and 2 because we're breaking it apart into its place value. We're going to do the same thing down over here on the side. I have 10 and 7 make up 17. So I'm going to bring these numbers down. Okay? That means, fourth grade, I'm going to multiply by each of these rows. Then I'm going to add all these numbers up to find my product. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this one. Again, this is my favorite way to multiply. So I see that 10 and 500, there's 1, 2, 3 zeros before I even multiply. Okay? Then I have 1 0 in that 10, 1 0 in the 10, which means there's going to be at least 2 0 place value holders in my answer that I get for my product. I have 10 times 2, there's 1 10, so I know that my answer is going to be to the 10's place value, so I'm going to go ahead and put a 0 in that 1's place value. Same thing down below. I'm going to do 7 times 500. That has 2 zeros, so I'm going to go ahead and put those 2 zeros in because my answer is going to be starting in the hundreds place value. Then I notice that I have 7 times 10, so I'm going to go ahead and bring down a 0 in the 1's place value so I can do 7 groups of 10. I know that I'm going to go ahead and get ready to solve this problem. So I know that 1 times 5 is 5. But this is really saying that I'm doing 10 times 500 to get to the number 5,000. The next box says that I have 10 times 10. I know 10 times 10 is 100, but if I'm only multiplying each of these first digits, I know 1 times 1 is 1. So that matches what I get when I put in my area model of multiplication. When I go ahead on my next problem, I do 10 times 2. I know 2 groups of 10 is 20, but I also know that 1 times 2 is 2. So I know on the area model, that makes sense. Let's go ahead and take a look at my next one. I have 7 groups of 500. Well, I know that 7 times 5 is 35. So I'm going to go ahead and bring down my 35. My answer is already starting in that hundreds place value. So really this is saying that I have 35 groups of 100, which is 3,500. Over here I have 7 times 10. I know 7 times 10 is 70, but I also know 7 times 1 group of 10, okay, is 70. All right, let's go ahead and do 7 times 2. I know 7 times 2 does not have a 10's place value holder, so my answer will be in the 1's place value when I start to get it. So I'm going to go ahead and get 14. That matches. 14 has the number 4 in the 1's place value, so I know that when I go ahead and put it in my area model of multiplication, that makes sense. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add all of these boxes up, 4th grade. We've got this. So now I'm going to take 5,000 plus 3,500. So I know my first column right here, I'm going to go ahead, and get 8,500. Then I get 100 plus 70 gives me 170. Then I have 20 plus 14. I know I'm going to get 34. Now I'm going to add all these numbers up one more time. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and align. Remember, we align our place values when we added. So I'm going to get 8,500 plus 170 plus 34. I'm going to go ahead and align those place values right here. Here we go. So I'm going to get 4 in the 1's place value. 7 groups of 10 and 3 groups of 10 gives me a group of 100. So that's 10 groups of 10. I'm going to drop that 0 and the 10's place value. I'm going to regroup that group of 100 to the 100's place value. 500 plus one more group of 100 is 600, plus another group of 100 is 700. So I'm going to get a 7 in the 100's place value. Finally, I'm going to go ahead and bring down my group of 8,000. So my final answer is 8,000 704. I can kind of use estimation to check myself to see, does that make sense? Because this is saying, I know that 500 is close to the number 512 is close to number 500, and 17 is close to the number 20. So if I were to skip count out groups of 500 20 times, I know that I would get close to the number 10,000. But this is saying I have 17, so I know it has to be 1,500 less. So fourth graders, I can use some logic and reasoning to ask myself the question, does my answer make sense? My answer does make sense when I look at this problem. Okay, so let's go ahead and head on over to Buzz and take a look at our assignment today, okay? So when we go into Buzz and we take a look at our assignment in fourth grade math, we're gonna go ahead and log in. We're gonna go into fourth grade math today. Once we get into fourth grade math, you're gonna see on that landing page, okay, what do we got? We're doing multiplication with multi-digit factors. All right, and then we're gonna do partial products with multi-digit factors in our next one. We got this. All right, I believe in you, fourth grade. So we're gonna go down to, what was this? This was 402, so I'm gonna go into module 4. I see our assignment for the week. Okay, so we have right here, okay, where we are doing 3 iReady lessons this week. We're gonna start right here with the area model, okay, with multi-digit factors. You're gonna watch the lesson recording right here, okay? And then you're gonna complete your problems. There's lots of practice problems to do here to review. There's some embedded videos. When you get to the end, let's take a look at our assignment, okay? So this is areas model multiplication. So you're gonna have some different problems where you are trying this out, okay? You got this. I believe in you. I know that you can do this. All right, bye fourth grade, love you, see you soon.